Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Iconic Messengers. I've got a special guest with us today. We've got Mr. Tony Whatley of 365 Driven, and today the episode will be called 365 Driven. Tony, what's going on? Welcome.
Mr. Hilton, thank you for that MC-ish introduction, and I'm happy to spend some time with you today.
Man, I always appreciate your time, and the people always appreciate your time. And you know me, no bullshit, we jump right into it. So we were talking just a second ago about intention, and we are noticing the social media world is filled with intention, but is it true intention or is it deceptive intention? So why don't we break down why you are so well respected in this community, this entrepreneur space, as I call it, because dude, you've been there, you've done that, and you keep it real. Why is true intention so needed right now in 2024?
I would relabel those intentions. I would say, is it positive or negative intention? Okay. And, when we think about even trials, going to court, you may have committed a crime, or the defendant may have been, alleged crime, but then the jury always looks back at the intention. Were they doing things out of malice, ill intent? Was it premeditated versus was it an accident, or was it involuntary manslaughter, this kind of thing? So, whether you're guilty or not usually goes back always to the intention. And so when you look at behaviors that we see online, especially in the thing that we call the guru space, and you see how these people treat their clients and their staff and things like that, you start to really question their ethics. And then if you're smart enough to go on the Google machine and go search back, you'll find usually those skeletons that they didn't want you to hide, they wanted to hide forever. And you start to realize like what their real ethical standards are and what their real intentions are. And unfortunately, there's a lot of frauds. And, this is rampant in a lot of different industries. It's not just in the personal development space. There's good and bad in both. But I think it's good that people become more aware now, especially in that market.
Well, and I think that when we are trying to market ourselves and we're trying to get ahead and we're trying to meet the right people, you've seen me since I was singing for $100 at bars and trying to make this like jump into becoming a real businessman and running a real company and building it from the ground up. And now we've got over 10 employees and a real team and a real service and a real machine that's running. And dude, it's a lot of pressure. And my buddy Kyle says, the pressure is a privilege, but you also got to be careful because you want to keep it real. You want to be honest. You want to be ethical. And sometimes that means losing money because we get calls sometimes from people and, hey, we got to pause for a month or two. And then they come back in a couple months. And I have to be the leader that says, cool, we're going to get your back on this, because a social media budget is new for people. This is very new. They're not used to spending money on this. Like your wife is a realtor, so she's used to X, Y, and Z. You got to spend on marketing. It's non-negotiable, and social media is kind of but I think it's becoming more apparent that you've got to have a brand online, and you've become so good at being on the cutting edge of what that really looks like. In your opinion, what does a authentic social media brand really look like?
I think you have to look at what your intentions are. Is it growing audience? Is it just trying to sell something? Like, what is the real purpose that you're putting your brand out there? And let's talk to the people that want to grow audience, because you and I both have shows. We both speak on stages now, and we're trying to grow audience because we realize that when you grow audience, you create more leverage for yourself. That way you're not just representing Pat Hilton when you show up. You're representing Pat Hilton and your thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers that are also, in your communities and things like that. So we build leverage through audience. When you're creating audience, I think one of the biggest mistakes people can make is they just always talk about their own stuff. They're just talking about their business. Like every single post they make, every single video they make, they're talking about their business or their product. And it gets so boring, because this is one thing I like about you is you're not predictable, because predictable is very boring. And when people are predictable, we don't even have to click on their video to know what they're talking about. Like, oh, there's that guy, and he's always just talking about his business or his industry. And so you may be producing top edited quality content in your space and your industry and your business, but people know what your message is already, they're going to quit watching those things, and your reach is going to go down. The algorithm's going to start to kick you in the kneecaps. And so I always think like the 80-20 rule, something easy to remember here, that Pareto principle. 80% of your content should be focused on things that are about you, your personality, your character, your interests, your hobbies, things that you enjoy doing for free, whether that's being dad of the year, mom of the year, me riding skateboards, going to the gym, racing cars, things I enjoy. That's part of my character. It's part of my personality. That's what I enjoy. And it allows other people that don't know you to hopefully maybe get some relatability to you. Because if they have that common or shared interest and they go, hey, you're into that too. Now they're going to start watching your content a little bit more, because they may see a piece of content you're talking about, that thing you share. And so when you stay top of mind of everybody and you start to grow this relatable audience and these different things that you're into, eventually you're going to have that call to action and sell something or offer something. And they're going to be more receptive to that versus somebody that's just always talking about their stuff.
And dude, a great example of what you're talking about is Andy Frisella, who you just won an award in their Arate, correct?
Yes.
And you've been featured in that group multiple times. But dude, I remember seeing him post that on his story, and I messaged him right away, and I was like, there's nobody that deserves that award more than him. And obviously he already knew that because he gave you the award, but it's just good to reinforce that, right? Because dude, I'll tell you what, man, that guy's been rooting for me for a long, long time since he started that MF CEO, and he's just always been encouraging and following and supporting me. And it's just like, that is worth so much to people. And as I start to shift into more of trying to be more of an expert and less of an MC, and more of a speaker and, less of a host, which there is still going to be a combination of that forever, in my opinion. For me, for people like me that do want to be regarded as an authority, we want people to buy our stuff. But like I was saying, Andy doesn't even have to ask anybody to buy his stuff. He is the authority. He is the expert. And when he sends that email, I read it every single day. And then at the bottom of the email, sometimes it'll say, hey, I got a new mental toughness book. You can bet your ass I ordered it right away.
Yeah.
Why is it so important to lead with the value? And number two, get people off social media. Use social media to get them off social media so that you can really nurture that relationship and then really convert at a higher level without barely even asking.
Leading with value it's a subjective statement, I think, because a lot of people don't understand. We hear that all the time, but what does that actually mean? What is value? How do I bring value? Well,
that's true.
I'll give you my version of this. Everybody's got a different way of doing this. For me, it's just answering other people's questions. And so I've built 3 different 7-figure companies just by being in forums and on social media, by answering people's questions. If I have the answer, or if I know who I can refer the answer to, I'm always willing just to be the one that responds. I think a lot of times people are in these groups and they're in forums and they're just scrolling past things that they actually know the answers to. And they don't want to waste their time. That's their mindset. They're that scarcity mindset. They don't want to waste their time. Or maybe that question that's being asked is too beginner level, and I'm the authority. I don't want to answer beginner level questions. So the ego gets in their way, and they're thinking, well, somebody else will come along later and answer this question for that person. So that, to me, is a huge red flag if you're thinking that kind of way, because there was some point in your life where you were the beginner, where you had those questions. And if you think about it, the people that were answering your questions and being helpful back then weren't fellow beginners. They were people that were experienced and people that had built a hub and a reputation for serving and answering people's questions. And when you have something for yourself later on, like the give, right jab thing, Gary V talks about the same thing, right? Jab, right hook. Build a reputation of being the hub, being the source of the information, the person that has the answers. Become Yoda, if you will. And soon enough, when it becomes your time to throw out an event or launch a course or sell a product or write a book, and you ask, but you've been pouring into everybody for years. This isn't talking about months. This is years. They will show up for you. They will always show up for you, but you got to show up for them well in advance.
Yeah, that's big. And you've been doing this for a long time, and you're highly respected. everybody gets something out of following you. And if you aren't following Tony, follow him at 365 Driven, add him as a friend on Facebook. It really is good stuff. And the cool thing about you is it's definitely experience driven too. It's not just 365 Driven is just Tony's little tagline. Like, dude, it is experience, and you have a really nice angle and a nice way that you deliver your message. You're very precise. And this is something that I've learned from you, because you know me, I'm kind of like a haymaker. I get in there, I throw some haymakers. I'm a little wild, you know. I come back to the corner.
Yeah, you are.
Mr. Yeah, I come back to the corner. It's like, all right, you're good, but you got to keep it in the pocket. You know what I mean? And I think that's so hard for like guys that are new, and they're finally making a little bit of money, and they know that the window is closing, and I want to execute, and I want to win, and I want to strike, and you got to really pick your punches. You got to be precise. What is your advice for people that they're firing, they're working hard, they're trying so hard, and they're just not seeing the closings, or they're not seeing the numbers, or their leads aren't coming through, or maybe they're not trusted yet in the market, and they're starting to kind of question, is this thing going to work?
Man, that is the gold right there, that question you just asked, okay? People aren't going to like this answer, because I'm very respectful, but also direct. I think a lot of times people just regurgitating the right information, but they're the wrong person to display that information. So there's a lot of times people will read all these books that we write. They listen to these podcasts that we're on. They go to these events, they take fields of notes, and they're nodding their head because it's all good information. But then they go home and they fire up the camera and they act like they're the authority or the expert in that arena. And they start giving advice and positioning themselves as something that's achieved more than they have. And the problem is that humans, their potential audience, have really good BS detectors. And what we're really quickly assessing is, yeah, that's the right message, but are you the right person? We have too many people out there with the right message being the wrong person. And there's nothing wrong with not having the experience of the results. You should go earn those. I mean, I love the videos that you will show, like, man, I was working for $30 strumming my guitar on the corner and looking for tips. And you see this natural progression, and you've always been good at archiving and having your history and showing that before and after. So you've demonstrated that you could create those results, and you were able to repeat those results over time. And as you start to do things consistently over a long period of time, you start to build competence. And then if you can remain competent for a long period of time, I'm talking years, not weeks or months, like a lot of these people are too focused on months and weeks, years remaining competent, you'll become confident. And when you're confident, that's when people will actually hear your voice and actually be able to see what you're doing. And you'll have demonstrated results, and you'll be able to show proof. And then they're more interested in hearing what you have to say, because let's be real, like, if you haven't made millions of dollars and you're talking about millionaire mindset and millions of this and millionaire that, like, it's the right message. You're just not the right person yet. And you could become that person, and then you'll be able to carry that message. I think people need to put the horse back in front of the cart on a lot of these type topics.
And dude, that's why I'm always telling people, like, don't worry about the money yet. Focus on the skills, because it's like, I am not a millionaire. You and I both know that. And that's okay. I'm not. Have I done millions of dollars in sales with the company now? Absolutely. But that doesn't make you a millionaire. People get those two things confused too, bro. And that's not good. The net profit, I'm glad that I didn't do X amount of millions of dollars in sales in 1 year, because I don't know that I would have been prepared for it. All of this, like you said, happened over a natural progression. I'm getting better. Our service is strong. It's getting better. We wanted to do the brand builder thing, and we had so many agency signups that I was like, hey, dude, we're going to do that in a couple months. I'm just going to film these clients, and we'll have you come speak at the next one. And you were like, dude, good for you. Focus on your company. And there's nothing wrong with just saying that. And I think that people get so hung up on, I got to be the 7-figure guy, or I got to be the 8-figure guy, or I don't fit in. And my whole goal with sharing all of this stuff in the first place was to show people that the Rocky Balboa guy from the club or the street corner or the bar has the potential to play on the big stages if you're willing to deliver at a high enough level, because I became that guy. And if I can prove that that's possible, the numbers will show up when they need to show up, when our company's prepared and when we can onboard enough people and when we're ready to go. But like, we've got a great thing going, and I'm really, really, really proud of what we've done.
Yeah,
and I think
that
people need to be proud and grateful of where they are. I mean, dude, it's so cool that I'm able to even hit these buttons and make rap tunes and kick it with you. And why not just celebrate that instead of trying so hard to flex, trying so hard to, like you shared that pyramid, and I'll have my buddy pull the pyramid up and put it on the screen for a clip or whatever, of the flex and the lifestyle, and it's at the bottom of the pyramid. Why do people think that the flex and the lifestyle and the watch makes them successful in the first place? I don't even wear a watch anymore because they bother me.
I don't have one on right now.
There you go.
Sorry,
there you go.
We're not out flexing each other. Damn it.
It's just like,
missed
dude,
opportunity.
Why is it so important to focus on the skill set, the mindset first, and then get so good that the results come anyway?
You know, I'm in, like you said, the Arte Syndicate. There's newer entrepreneurs in that group, and they'll come in and they'll ask a question, and you can see where their mindset is focused on, because maybe they're struggling financial or just want to change something with their life. There's nothing wrong with that. But
right.
They ask the wrong questions. They ask things like a rookie or a new person in business would ask. And like one of them, I think a week ago, was, hey, if you were just getting started, what industry would you get in? And you can see when you have a question like that, they're purely focused on a financial return. They're looking for get rich quick. How can I make as much money as possible? God, there's only thousands of industries out there. Like, the answer is, what are you interested in? What skill sets do you have? What resources do you already have available that you could use for that business? What experience do you have? Do you even have passion or interest in this industry? And if the answer is no to all those, then you're going down the wrong path. Yeah, you can make money at everything, but will you outlast your interest in that and actually show up with the same level of energy every single time you wake up and think about having to do that for the rest of the day or the rest of your life? And unfortunately, most people are misled, and they're given bad advice, and they go pursue college degrees which don't pay them or actually benefit what they want to achieve in their lives. And so we're constantly misled, and we're always thinking of the quickest opportunity to make money. So I like that you talked about, what is your passion? What are you interested in? What is your unique skill set or ability, or the skills that you're willing to acquire to go become successful in that specific industry that you enjoy, the part that you want to be a part of? And the money is always the reward of the value that we create. People don't like to hear that, because if you're struggling right now in your financial reasons and you're wondering, well, screw you, Tony. Like, I'm here because I'm not creating enough value. Yeah, the answer is the market is telling you you haven't. Either that or you're hiding. That's something you can help them with. Or you're hiding and you have immense talent, or you're just not creating enough value that the market can see you and is willing to hire you or pay you a certain amount of income. And so we are where we're at because of our own decisions and who we are and what we know. So.
Yeah, that's intense. And again, I love this because it is the anti 5-step method podcast today. I mean, everybody's got their
step method.
There's
no
step
method.
And I mean, if you repeat,
the 5-step guy was just undercutting the 10-step guy. That's all.
Right. And then he's outstepping the 8-hour work week or whatever it is. And so you got to understand something. We see a lot of this saunas and cold plunges and this and that and morning routines. And I think all that stuff can be really, really great. Most of the people that I know that are making the big bucks, that have maybe acquired companies or acquired real estate, they've got the large amounts of cash flow, that are in the millionaire category, they didn't start doing cold plunges 8 years ago.
No. I know zero multimillionaires became millionaires by doing cold plunges.
Right. And again, there's nothing wrong with cold plunges, but it's not going to make you rich. unless you
No.
get out of the cold plunge and go do something.
Or hell, if you're in the cold plunge, be a baller and actually, answer some emails while you're in there.
There you go. Answer
Come
some
on, be
emails. I mean,
productive.
you got the timer on already and the
Got
alarm
your
on
hands
already.
up. I mean, just do something like, I don't know, put your Google glasses on and
Oh man,
knock out some content creation or
the
something.
Vision
But
Pro, the Vision
yeah,
Pro.
that's the thing,
So
dude. Pat, like you and I both speak at these events and we know these people. And the reality is that rich people become weird. It ain't like you got to become weird to become rich.
yeah, I mean, and you got to be weird, in my opinion, to get rich in the first place, because no normal person would take the kind of risk that it takes to create anything great in this world. You got to be a whack job to go against the
True.
grain. And with all the programming and the propaganda and the craziness of the media these days, it almost tells you to be average, to not be 365 driven every single day. That is almost, not even almost, it is the tagline these days. Average is okay. Moderate exercise is okay. Moderate execution is okay. Being medium at what you do, it's okay. Bro, you and I both know it ain't going to get you in the top 1% of anything.
I mean, you posted some stats about millionaires a couple days ago, and even those sentences of the data that's collected out there, there's a lot of data on all kinds of things. Even a lot of those lines that the average millionaire is this age, the average millionaire, the average. So again, there's a perfect example of people being conditioned to look at average.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And my buddy Cole Casey, who is a like famous lawyer in San Diego, who's like the king of his niche, even commented and was like, man, I got in there at 42. But the reason why I stayed in there was because of the investments, the moves, the savviness. And I think that people can get in there, but staying there is a whole nother thing. You can win an NBA championship, but winning 6 like Michael Jordan is very, very, very difficult. So why don't you kind of touch on what it takes to sustain success when you've gotten there, and why you have to continually be growing, building, and creating new heights and new capacities within your performance?
Now, I'll anchor this back to, you talked about the personal development, you know, journey that I created, the triangle graphic at the bottom. The caption for people who can't see this yet or hear this, there it says there's 3 levels of this pyramid. It's a mountain, and the bottom is that you are most attracted to the mentor's blank, and the bottom one says their cash, their flex, their lifestyle. So that's why you're initially attracted to those people. And the middle one is more about impact and influence. I'm talking about community impact, social impact, nonprofits. They're donating a lot of their time, which is more valuable than their money. They have a lot of money, but they have also a lot of time that they're helping people because they can, not because they are forced to do that. And then at the top of the pyramid, which is the very, very, very few people ever reach this level of mentorship, and they're very iconic. It's people who have demonstrated high levels of success in their business or life, but they are more focused on their mindfulness and the things that their freedom of location, their freedom of time, the freedom of financial freedom. They live with such a sovereignty and a freedom, and their mindfulness. They're not stressed out. They don't have anxiety. They're not always under the gun. They're not having to take burnout breaks and disappear for a month to go lick their wounds in a cave. Like so many people get stuck in the bottom part of that pyramid. These are the loudest characters, the ones that are, you and I kind of make fun of. They're flexing all the time, renting Lamborghinis, doing stupid crap, making content that just showing everything, flexing watches all the time. And a lot of them never graduate out of that. And you could become very rich hanging out at the bottom of that pyramid because there's a lot of people that are interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
The middle ground is when the real leaders start to emerge. And so you see this process, this journey of personal development. When you don't have money, you're very attracted to the people that are always talking about money and flex. And so you start to fall into that camp, and you join their thing and you go to their events, and they're talking about that kind of stuff because you don't have it and you're trying to figure that out. There's nothing wrong with that. We all go there if we grew up broke. I was one of those. But even when you're in that personal development space, you have to have that level of awareness that you need to graduate levels too.
Mm.
And you need to move out of the flexing and showing off and things like that. Because once you attain those things and you keep doing it, now you just look like a clown. You just look like a douchebag. If you're in your 40s and you're still flexing all the time, like, you're a douchebag. Let's be real. I'm glad I got to do that in my 30s. I got the douchebagging flexing stuff out in my 30s. But if you're older than 40 and you're still flexing,
Yeah.
one, that tells me you got new money. You haven't been rich very long, so you're still got your Bambi legs walking around being a clown. And if you're 50s and you're still flexing, like, good Lord, man, like, you're like old. You got rich late in life, and you're trying to catch up for all this douchebag behavior that you missed out on. And so, get to the middle section as fast as you can.
Mm.
And start thinking about, how do I emerge as a real leader, and start speaking at these nonprofits and not always looking for money in exchange of things, and being willing to donate your time and create real society impact, and uh, things that aren't from people that aren't really even going to pay you a lot of times, but you're impacting the world in a positive way. Like, those are the real people. Then you get to the top, and that's the hardest one, man. If you can keep your sanity and live a life of freedom and be able to pick up and go where you want to, and build your businesses around that type of lifestyle. And I like to say that that's where I'm at, because I like to be able to just go where I want and work with who I want. And you don't see me making 997 offers and trying to sell everything every time I open my mouth. It's like, people that are always asking for your money. It's like, do they not have enough money, or are they pretending that they have money, but they don't really have any money? Right. Because all the really rich people I know, they're not always asking for people's money. Like, they rarely ask for anything. So kind of think about these red flags as you're going through that. So that's the longevity game. That's get in personal development, understand that you come into that triangle at some level, and you're always trying to aspire to climb that mountain yourself, but also to follow the right mentors at each level as you start to climb.
Dude, that's just so valuable, and I can see in my head the illustration that will go along with what you just said as we kind of go back and review this. For people that are hearing this, and a lot of, I've noticed this, a lot of younger people have started to follow me because I'm willing to admit how hard this really is. And that I am still an owner operator. Like, I am definitely the operator still. And by the way, I'm really proud of that, because how the hell am I ever going to train someone to be the camera person, the marketing person, the salesperson, and this person and that person, the other person, if I don't know how to do it at a high level? How can I say, hey, we're going to do, $2 million in sales over the next 3 years or whatever it's going to be. We want to average, this to make sure we hit that number, if I've never done it myself. And so I think a lot of times people are saying they're going to do things, or they're training their team to have a standard that they've never even set themselves. So how can we see through the landscape and see who's really at these different levels of the pyramid without getting fooled?
It doesn't really matter, man. That it goes back to this being, you're still in the flex phase. If you're still worried about chasing revenue or building an identity as a 7-figure this, or a 2 comma club that, or an 8-figure that, if you're still chasing that identity, you're still immature when it comes to success.
Mm.
Do you ever see, like, very successful people that have been around, let's say for a long time, 20 plus years? Do they introduce themselves as billionaire?
No.
Like, can you imagine, like, Mark Zuckerberg, hi, I'm Mark Zuckerberg and I'm a billionaire. Like, no, nobody does that.
No.
And so a lot of these successful companies that we know, like brands that we recognize, they're 8, 9 figure, they're doing $1 billion a year, but the owners aren't walking around going, well, I'm the CEO of $1 billion organization. If they are, they still got ego things that they have to work through. It's a lot of insecurities. So what I'm more interested in, even with my coaching clients, is I want net profit, man. I'm maximizing net profit. I don't give a shit what your revenue is, because you and I can go to a 10x growth con and see all these people wearing suits that are flat broke, but they're always going to tell you, like, oh yeah, I'm a 7-figure this. But guys, if you look at the data, and I get to see a lot of P&Ls in the industries, a lot of these companies may be doing $10 million a year in sales, but they're spending $11 million a year. So they're actually losing $1 million a year in their company, and they're bragging about being a 10. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, quit chasing revenue and thinking that you're going to be somehow validated as being a better entrepreneur if you can go from 7 to 8, because it's not true unless your profit scales accordingly. At the same time, your freedom and your mindset and your happiness also has a scale at the same time. Too many people trading their freedom with their mindset, their happiness or fulfillment by chasing revenue and adding employees and more complexity and more stress and never being able to take time off. Like, that's a bunch of crap. Like, no one wants to live that way. Just to say that you're a 8-figure person, stupid.
I love that, dude. And and you knew I was going to go through all of this. And I also want to make sure everyone understands that if you are in a position like me and you're an owner operator, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And I've built a team and this and that. And I love that you said that, because my buddy Alex Ottawell, great guy. When I first was way over the total of 7 figures in cumulative sales, right? It's cumulative, obviously over a couple of years. I was really excited about it because we were like a 7-figure agency, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I was excited for like 2 days. Just like the Porsche, was really excited because I finally had a car. But I don't really.
These are milestones. You should celebrate these things.
And I should.
It is pretty cool to fire up your Stripe account and see that you closed $1 million in sales and some idea that you created. I mean, even if it took you a lifetime, that's still an accomplishment.
I totally agree. And my friend Alex, who, gosh, you got to have friends like this, folks. I kind of had it as my bio for a minute because I was really excited about it. And he was like, are you over that yet? And I was like, yeah, why? And he's like, so here's what I want you to change it to, because you don't sell social media agency. You help leaders communicate their message. And I was like, okay. True. You help people get confident on camera and attract conversions. I was like,
true.
That's what my bio says now. So I think it's important for people.
I don't give a crap what someone's revenue is. And in fact, if somebody has to tell me how much they earn as part of their own marketing campaign, I don't want to work with those people, because I know that they have a broke mindset. They're suffering with some kind of scarcity issues or insecurities. They're looking for external validation, because even think about this, like business coaches. Does Andy Frisella ever come on and talk about how much money he makes every month?
I've never heard him mention it, and the guy has about 20 cars. I'm assuming it's a lot of money.
Does John Maxwell ever use how much money he earns as his marketing?
No.
Exactly. You don't. Yeah. They don't. And so they've got the maturity to understand you can be successful without having to tell everybody how much you earn. That's silly.
No, I totally agree. And I think that's why this is such an important conversation. I'm so glad that this is happening early in the recording process of this show, because it's going to set a standard going along as time goes on long term for people to understand that, dude, again, like I said, $700,000 a year, folks, with $350,000 or $400,000 in net profit is a very great business, and you've done a great job, and you should be super, super proud of yourself. And if that means that your millions of dollars is spread out over the course of 2 or 3 years, then you're probably doing a whole lot better than somebody who did 2 million and spent 2.3.
You're right. I mean, let's be real. There's some $1 million companies that make more net than some of these $5 million companies out there, $10 million companies even. Like I said, there's losing companies out there. So it's don't even think about the revenue game. And if somebody's using that as their marketing, or if they're a digital marketer or talking about I had X amount of sales per month, okay, how much did you net from that? How much did you spend on your ad spend? How much did you have to pay for payroll? How much did you pay for your overhead costs? Let's carve all that stuff out and see where you're left with. They don't want to talk about that number because it's not as impressive as the big revenue number.
It's not as sexy. And that's something too, is there's a lot of comparisons out there right now. A sexy business versus a boring business. And I got a friend, Carl. I got a good buddy, Carl, and he's like, dude, any business that's got some great net profit and cash flow is a sexy business. Laundromats aren't boring if they're making money, folks. Okay, so we got to get that out the door too. There is nothing glorious number one, about building and creating a brand or building and creating revenue. This is hard work. It is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's why it's so important that 365 driven should be like a mantra in your head. Because if you aren't that, there's no way you're possibly going to survive. Because if you're not passionate about what you do and you don't love it, and you are going up against people that are, and you're just in it for the money and you're just in it for the sales, I'm telling you, that guy with the heart, he's going to take you out in round 11. If Rocky Balboa makes it to round 12, he never loses.
Never. Yeah. I mean, they just out hustle you because their passion is in that subject. I mean, there's two things I'm very passionate about: cars and entrepreneurship. And I've always been that way, even since I was a kid and I was trying to figure out how to make money. And so I can speak at a very high level of energy on anything we're doing about cars or business. So I don't want to give advice on things that I'm not outside the lane that I'm in. Yeah, I'm a fitness guy and I work out 6 days a week, mostly 7 days a week, but I'm not going to sit there and do a bunch of how-tos on how to do what I do on fitness. Like, I do that as a part of my identity and I enjoy that, but it's not what I want to be an authority in and try to coach people on.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. And I think also people are trying to coach too soon.
Well, that goes back to the right message, wrong person thing we talked about.
Like, dude, I am
If you're
so
not, if you're not
busy.
getting results, it's because you haven't demonstrated the results. Like, if you're trying to coach and you haven't got any clients and you're struggling to build a client, or you built an agency and you're struggling to get clients, it's because you haven't demonstrated any results.
Right.
That's the answer. So, okay, well, how do you get results? Go help 10 free clients for the first year. Go build their marketing and social media content for 1 year for free. And I guarantee you, if you start to get results, you'll have 10 amazing testimonials that will probably help you sell. And then you'll start to get the paid ones. But most people want a shortcut because they go, oh, I don't work for free. My time has a lot of value, Pat. Time has a lot. No, it's actually your value is zero if that's what you're earning.
It's true. And again, these are stingers, but they're the facts, folks. The one thing that got me off of where I was and onto where I'm always becoming better, in my opinion,
Yep.
was
You absolutely are. Buddy.
doing shit for free. I made songs for Gary Vee. I made songs for Grant Cardone. I made songs for this person, that person, the other person. And I mean, I still do stuff for people that are friends or whatever. My clients that I show up and I MC at their masterminds because they're relying on me to be there. They want to recommend my services. They want to tell people that I'm the expert. They want to tell them this guy doesn't miss a day on Christmas, on Thanksgiving, on Easter, on New Year's. My social media stuff is posted because he does it. And if he didn't do it, I wouldn't even be on the page. So you got to understand, folks, that if the more you give, the more recommendations you're going to get too. And dude, this one's a tough pill for people to swallow. And it's part of the reason, in my opinion, why they don't even make content, because they know, well, if I'm making content, then I'm giving away my knowledge for free. And then someone could steal my magical skip tracing formula. And then I'm out of business, Tony. Why is that ridiculous?
Gosh. It's so ridiculous. And any amount of knowledge that anybody has listening to this or watching this, you learned it from somewhere. You absolutely, whether you paid or you did YouTube University or you went to school or you had a mentor, like, you learned it from somebody else. And so don't think that it's your content, it's your idea. It's just not, unless you're in the creative work, like you're talking about, Pat, like creating your own songs, or we do a lot of our creative video content. I do comedy stuff. Yeah, that's mine. I created it. But technical things and details and strategies and tactics, like, put it all out there. Because that's not what people pay you for. Information is very easy. We carry information in this little device in our back pocket or in your purse for you ladies. We carry this. We have the world in our fingertips at all times. So information is very low value. What do they pay you for? They pay you for access, proximity to being around you, to learn from being a mentor, and they pay for implementation. They want you to create things for them, like your agency. You're creating things. You're being paid to be implementer. So the information is nothing until you can start getting paid for your access, which requires audience, success, results. People will pay you more. They want access. Then be the implementer. Do the stuff for them. Get paid for the things that you're creating for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. And it's just like you said, there's so many supplement companies out there. There's so many whatever companies out there, or landscaping companies, or whatever it is. But it's like, who's really executing, and who's really giving you something that you can even believe in? That's really important now too. And I think this is where it gets a little wishy-washy, especially in the personal development spaces, because people believe what they see on the internet, not necessarily, because it can be so easily manipulated. We could easily manipulate this interview, and I could like change your words around and kind of make it say something that you didn't say if I really wanted to.
Just make me look better and sound a lot cooler.
I know that's going to be hard to do. You're looking damn sexy today. But why is it so important, especially in 2024, for these conversations to happen, for this kind of content to become part of the foundation of the future of the space? And that's why I'm so serious about doing this and keeping it real and keeping it live and keeping it moving, because a lot of people want to be speakers, they want to be coaches, they want to be 7-figure earners or 8-figure brand owners, but they're not willing to do the day-to-day, toe-to-toe shit that's going to get them there.
You know, they see the results and a lifestyle from people at the highest levels of all those categories, speakers, coaches. And to them, they think that seems like a very easy profession. That in their mind is like, oh man, I don't have to show up anywhere. I don't have to clock in. I don't have a boss. Like all these, you check the boxes. It just sounds a whole lot more enticing. But the thing that they don't realize is that the people that are earning the most have the most results. They've demonstrated results for periods of years in order to do that. Or they're just very good fraudsters and hype man and like crazy people just attracting. But, you know, a lot of these gurus and stuff that we talk about, they can be financially successful because of their energy and the craziness and the crap that they put out there. But you have to start to think about, they're more in the category of showmen. They're entertainers versus people that actually have demonstrated results. So if they wanted to teach you to be a hype man, crazy energy guy, take your shirt off and do a bunch of steroids and yell at people, if they wanted to teach that, you could probably learn from those guys. They would probably be really good at teaching you exactly what they do, because they've demonstrated a way to get paid by doing that. But it doesn't mean that they're good at business. It doesn't mean that they're good at all these other, metrics within the entrepreneurship. It just means they're good at being hype and in your face. And that's a skill up to entertainment. I mean, professional wrestling wouldn't exist if that wasn't a thing,
I mean, I'm not going to lie here. I mean, I have woken up in the morning and turned on, TBS to see the Ultimate Warrior run to the ring in his underwear. So I'm not here to lie to anybody. If we're going to be honest, we got to be honest with the people. You know what I mean? I'm all about some Hulk Hogan in the yellow tights, bro. But at the same time, you have to consider that, is some of entrepreneurship becoming like entrepreneur-tainment or something that, like sure. Business entertainment. Sure. And I think that, that kind of started with the 10X Growth Con, the one that we kind of met at that was like the one of the pinnacles of the business experts really giving tactical strategy on a stage to people that could really afford a ticket to get in. And it has shifted into being very high ticket in some of these instances and very low value in some of these instances too.
It's a pitch fest now.
Huge pitches. And so with the people out there that are wanting to start a social media following, they want to build a brand or they want to have a company, I think it's really important to remember that you've got to become an expert at something first, and then the speaking gigs were going to happen. Like, no one really wanted me to be like up there going through slides until I had something to slide through. It was funny to have Pat with the guitar because I'm very good at that, and I had done it for 15 or 20 years. I'm obviously a good singer-songwriter, but it was kind of like fun. It was kind of a novelty, and it's let's give him an opportunity and let's see if he can grow. And like I took that and I got better and I got better and I got better and I got a long way to go. But why is it so important today for people to become a real trusted expert at something and be honest about where they're at and help other people get results at that thing, whatever that thing is? If you're a car mechanic or you're a dog groomer or you're a fitness trainer, stay in a lane, but you got to pick a lane. And if you jump around, people aren't going to trust you anymore.
No, we've seen a few names change different lanes in the last year. I guess 23 was a hard year for a lot of people, and
Hmm.
we've seen a lot of people that were making noise in certain energy in industries, and they change. And again, like anytime you pivot that much, you basically are putting your momentum back to zero at that point, because you're having to restart, because you just lost the trust of all the people that were still supporting you when you make such a 180-degree pivot on things. And so if that's okay with you, like starting from zero all the time and trying to ramp back up, that go for it. Do that. It's just going to take you a lot longer. Think about every year that you waste doing the wrong thing. You're actually wasting 2 years. And people are like, what does that mean? Well, let's say that you waste a year going down this lane that it's not really interesting to you, and you're just trying to do it for material advantage, and it doesn't work out for you. So you have to regroup and go try something else. Well, that year you just wasted could have been applied to the thing that you should have been doing in the first place, which again, it cost you 2 years. And so, you think about that kind of thing. And so go become an expert, go get some skills and things, and find things that you're interested in, things that you already adopt, things you believe, things you demonstrate that you have some kind of a energy or interest or curiosity about, at least, and then learn those skills from people who are actually doing the things that you want to achieve. And you'll find that if you could do that for a long enough period of time, this is a lifetime game. This isn't about, like, how do I get rich in the next year? Like, that's a bunch of unicorn bullshit. Just focus on the next 5 years of your life, demonstrating, like, I'm going to be regarded as an authority in this. And there's plenty of space in every industry. Like, you don't have to think about like blue ocean strategies and where's a, like, if you just become good at what you are doing, there's a right client and a right customer for you. They're just waiting for you. You just got to become the right person first.
I love that. And I love the idea of attracting the right people. I think some people, they know what I do, and some people kind of don't know what I do, but they know that I'm marketing myself and I'm promoting on social media regularly, and I use every single day what I sell. I actually developed the system for me first, and I started helping people with it second. And I think that after a while, people just kind of know this guy's a marketer. This guy runs a marketing company. He's clearly a marketing guy, and this person's gotten results and that person's gotten results. And I think the key is to get so good at what you do that the people that hire you, they know that they need your service, because they would never do it on their own. I would never change the oil on my wife's Honda Odyssey. Number one, I don't know how to. Number two, if I tried to, it would be an absolute freaking disaster. I'd have oil everywhere. I'd probably screw up the car. The transmission might be screwed up after I do this. I'm hiring someone to do the oil.
Implementer. You're looking for the implementation.
And so you have to think about what skill set you're bringing to the table that, people need. I was messaging my buddy Kyle this morning, and I was like, man, if your air conditioning goes out in the middle of the summer in Texas, you are calling the HVAC system, the HVAC people. You don't care what it costs, because now it's 117 degrees in my house. I need it down to 75. When can you be here? And it's no wonder why he is so targeted on HVAC companies and pest control companies and this and that, because that service-based business, it's a necessity for everybody that owns a home. How many homeowners are here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that need that service? A lot. And so you have to think about what you're doing, what your target audience is, and how is that going to create a residual recurring revenue stream that you can nurture and keep over a lifetime. What is the lifetime value of the customer? And again, there's all these guru things, the LTVs and the ROIs and the whatevers, the KPIs.
All that matters is just, if you're getting started in business, none of those things matter right now. I mean, once you start making some good money, like, yeah, you'll focus on those metrics. But, I think if you're getting started, go focus on creating income through skills, get some results, quit worrying about trying to be famous. Too many of you guys are out there trying to be famous and trying to be influencers, and you're doing this fake it till you make it crap that we can all see through because you don't have the results. Put your head down, go get those results, create the income, even if that requires you to go get a job. Like, a lot of people think that entrepreneurship is so cool, and they think that they just don't need to get a job. But to me, if you're not willing to get a job to fund your dream or to pay for the skill sets and mentors and people to learn from, just like people who go to college, then that's telling me right away that you're not willing to do what it takes.
Hmm.
If you're not willing to go get a job and put your ego aside to go invest, because it took me 7 years to go to college because I was going to school at night. I was a welder, I was a pipe fitter, I was waiting tables. There was times in my life I was working 3 jobs to be able to build the companies that I wanted to build. And so I'm willing to do what it takes. I've proven that time and time again. But too many people nowadays feel entitled and they think that, oh, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm not going to go be an employee. Like that's the most horrific thing ever. Well, that just tells me you're not willing to do what it takes. And you'll probably never be successful if you carry that mindset.
That's so smart and so true. And dude, even when I was playing out in San Diego and I had full-time gigs at night, dude, if somebody needed me to knock a bathroom out during the day and I could make a couple $100, dude, give me the sledgehammer, bro. Let's go. I loved those jobs. I get to get up and I get paid to work out. You're going to pay me money to knock the shit out of this bathroom? Give me the sledgehammer. In fact, I'll be there 30 minutes early and I'll buy us both Monster Energy drinks. How about that? Like, dude, you got to be able to do the work.
What are they called, like rage rooms or something? So you were just doing it. You're getting paid to be in a rage room instead of paying to be in a rage room.
What a deal, bro. But, it was so funny because I remember my buddy, his contractor company, and he was like, dude, it's like hard to find people. I'm like, it's hard to find people to swing a sledgehammer? Sounds like a good time to me. Like, I might even go do that today if someone called me and they're like, hey, can you come by from 2 to 4 and knock out a bathroom? I might do it just to freaking smash a wall down because it feels good.
That would be some good content. So anybody in the DFW area that needs their bathroom demolished,
yeah,
just pay him a couple $100 and
throw me a couple $100 bones and I'll just skip 24-hour fitness that day and beat the shit out of your bathroom. I'm in.
I think you just came up with a new business model, man.
Think I may have.
People that want to be in rage rooms.
Yeah.
You're like, how about instead of paying to destroy things, we pay you to destroy things?
Yeah, you guys just hire me out. We show up with the sledgehammer and we bash the walls in. But dude, I am not even too good to do that. I can find somebody to help somebody today, or if I needed to do it today,
I would do that too. That does sound fun.
Doesn't it sound fun? We could put like little faces of people that didn't pay their bills or whatever from the agency, like inside the bathroom, then smash them out. The same people that get mad at real estate people for breaching contracts when they breach the contract with my agency. It's super funny. You see what I just did there?
Yeah, that was pretty slick.
Yeah, thanks. So anyway, if people are getting started and they need to do the work, but they're unmotivated, they just are not prepared, what is the first step they need to take to get off the couch and go out there and do something to create the future that they want, Tony?
I don't know if I can talk to the unmotivated people. To me, that's like trying to save every puppy in the dog.
Yeah, maybe that was a little bit deep. How about this?
If you're unmotivated and you're not getting the results you want, you're just going to be stuck where you're at for the rest of your life, because the difference between average people, we'll go back to that word, and successful people is that successful people are willing to do the work even when they don't feel motivated. And in fact, we don't always feel motivated at all, probably less than half the time. But what drives us is the results. We want that result. And so successful people have learned to operate regardless of their emotional state, and if they feel motivated, we look for the result.
And for the person that's out there, maybe they're banging their head against that bathroom wall, they're smashing the walls out, they're chasing their dream at night. Maybe they're just like I was, 8 years ago, where I'm singing every single night of the week, but I'm scraping sand traps for another $100. I'm knocking out a bathroom for another $100. And my hands are tired, but I got to play guitar all night. Dude, what do you have to say to those people? They're willing to die to win, man, and they're just unable to catch a break.
Look for the biggest problem that you can solve for a potential customer, because the bigger the problem, the more you're going to be compensated for that. So go learn some skills, invest time and money into learning skills that will create more income for you. I think many people just look at the portfolio of skills that they currently have, or the things that they learned in the past, but they're not willing to go invest in new skills, whether that's communication or coding or graphic design or videography or website design, or, there's all these different skills that you can learn nowadays, especially you can do this for free, a lot of them on YouTube. Go invest the time and money to learn new skills, which solve bigger problems. And guess what? You'll get bigger paychecks.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Whatley, one of the GOATs. Make sure you follow him. Add him as a friend on Facebook at Tony Whatley. Follow him at 365 Driven. My friend, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you do for myself, for so many others in the entrepreneur space. I could go forever, get all emotional and cry like a little baby here because, dude, you are just such a good friend, and I am so grateful that you've been in my corner. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know there's so many other people who feel the same way. Follow this man. Follow us at Iconic Messengers. Subscribe to the show, and we'll see you on the next one.